Now for tips ikut subjects. Starting off with BM. To be honest, I didn't really like study BM. But that worked for me because I feel like I have a strong basics for BM. So like for BM pun like ada macam tata bahasa, like you need to know all your kata nama, kata kerja, all those stuff. Like you need to master those as soon as possible. Actually, I would say tata bahasa is like important in like so many aspects, especially for BM Kertas 2. Sintaksis, morphology, penyuntingan, even like the ayat in like the pemahaman petikan, novel, rumusan, semua pun like ada markah bahasa. So like actually tata bahasa ni amatlah penting ya. Kertas 1 pun tata bahasa tu penting because you can have so many ideas in your head, but if you don't know how to convey it, and if you're going to have like a lot of red color pen marks because of kesalahan tata bahasa, it's going to leave like a really bad impression. For karangan, I'm going to be like really honest. I actually tak tulis pun so much karangan. And the ones that I buat pun my homework from my tuition or my homework from my school. But in Form 5, my BM school teacher actually made it compulsory for us to like salin or like tulis at least one karangan a week. Quite a lot jugalah karangan that we did. My tips for karangan is, since I don't write as much karangan, right, I will try to read them. Like I read contoh karangan. You can read it before bed or like during your school reading time ke. Yeah. And you don't just read, but then like you read, you try to highlight the isi, highlight the new phrases, peribahasa. You can also add like verse in your karangan by quoting like some menteri that's relevant to your karangan topic. Yeah, this is how I did mine for trials as well. It also helps you for your bertutur. Because actually your bertutur tu is sama je macam tulis karangan, but it's just you saying it out aloud with like the proper pronunciation. For bertutur, I would say don't be shy. Just yap. Just yap and like make yourself look confident. Tapi jangan keluar topik lah. And make sure you practice. For ujian bertutur individu, it's actually just like pemahaman petikan. The kebat pun is just like how you answer in your kertas 2. Berkumpulan, I would suggest you to like please familiarize yourself with your group mates. Like practice bertutur with them so you guys are like familiar with each other. And like for berkumpulan too, like try to help each other. Like if you run out of ideas, then like you can actually ask a question to your member to help them generate ideas on the spot. For novel, I just hafal my answers from the jawapan. Do a lot of exercises. And for rumusan tu, I feel like every year the format tukar. So please ask your school teacher what is the most latest format. For mendengar, there's like Telegram channels yang posted the audio and like the kertas soalan as well as the jawapan. So I also practice that. So that's for BM. For English, I don't study English at all. I only do whatever kerja that my school teacher gives, because she actually gives us like a lot of exercises, and to be very honest, we do at least like 2 to 3 essays like every single week. And my school English teacher is like very nice. She makes sure she marks our essays and like she leaves comments cut below so like we know what's our mistake. If you're somebody who's struggling with English, make sure you kuasai your basics for English, which is again your grammar. You're struggling with writing, I would recommend you this YouTube video. Yeah. And actually for your English essay, there is 4 components yang macam you dapat markah, which is language. Basically, it's like the words that you use, like low frequency words. And organizations is the flow of your essay. And like, make sure you use cohesive devices, because like, your teacher will actually look for the cohesive devices. And if you tak ada cohesive devices, your markah for organizations tu automatically akan like jadi 3 or 4. Communicative achievements is basically you have to make sure your message reaches your marker. Like, don't overcomplicate what you're trying to say to the point yang macam your cikgu yang tanda kertas tu tak faham what you mean. The last component is content. This one is usually in the questions. Example, the question mentions suggest a way. Kalau in your essay tu you tulis more than one way, your markah for contents tu like automatically akan turun because you tak ikut kehendak soalan. And for listening, my teacher also did a lot of like listening tests with us in class. So that's how we practice our listening. And for speaking, the only way is you have to speak on a daily basis. Especially if you're someone who macam don't really speak English at home, try to speak English with your peers like regularly. So towards SPM you dah familiar. Sejarah is actually my least favourite subject. So for sejarah, if like you tak ikut any tuition and you don't have your tuition notes, I would recommend you to just buy like sejarah textbook kat sekolah tu. Like especially if you dah naik Form 5 and you don't have your Form 4 textbook, right? So don't buy any like reference book. Just beli your school textbook because honestly like that's all you need. So the thing about having your own textbook is you get to like conteng and like write notes everywhere. I only had my own textbook for 2 subjects, which is sejarah and biology, because like I feel like that 2 subject banyak benda nak hafal and you really need your textbook because you can only get the facts that they need in your exam from your textbooks and not from any other reference book. But this is the file. This is the only thing that I used for my sejarah throughout Form 4 and Form 5. And what I meant by like summarized charta at the end of every chapter is like, so this is my tuition notes. So like I have a pocket file for all my chapters, and at the end of every chapter, my sejarah will make us do like a charta. It's basically a summarized version of the chapter. So before my exam too, we cannot baca our textbook dah. Like all we have is 20 pages of charta for 20 chapters, which actually helped me a lot because memang before my SPM, before my trials, like before my paper 2 tu, all I did was baca my charta je. Because for me personally, I feel like I already mastered my KBAT. Yeah, another thing is for KBAT, right? KBAT is basically like free marks, and there's like 2 types of KBAT, which is KBAT terbuka and KBAT tertutup. KBAT tertutup is basically like half of the marks is based on your pengetahuan sejarah. KBAT is like markah bonus, honestly, especially KBAT terbuka, and especially all those KBAT that is like berdasarkan petikan, berdasarkan poster, puisi. Yeah, it's like all those are basically free marks. You just need to know how to analyse the KBAT and how to give your pendapat on it. Before the sejarah exam, the school teachers will actually like narrow down for you the chapters that's going to keluar in your paper 2. So like you actually have an idea of like what is going to come out in your exam. What a lot of students will do is you guys will like hafal whatever that is coming out for paper 2 because you already know what is going to come out. You guys can score like 90 and above for your paper 2. Tapi like when you see your paper 1 punya markah, you'll only get like 20 out of 40 for your objective. And like this clearly shows you just hafal your jawapan for paper 2 and you didn't even actually study your sejarah. For your real SPM, you don't even know what is going to come out. It's all just ramalan, and at the end of the day, you still need to like practice all the chapters. So yeah, sejarah, there's no other way than like starting early and like actively recalling. For paper 1, day before my sejarah exam for paper 1, or like a few days before my exam 2, I will do a lot of objective questions, like 1,000 sejarah objective, or like you can just answer all the state trial punya objective questions. The more you do, right, like you realise the question tu macam berulang je. You dah terhafal the jawapan. For pendidikan moral, I don't really have any tips, and it's also like my least favourite subject because I feel like it's really hard to score. And for my actual SPM, that's the subject that I missed my A+. But my revision for moral, it was usually just doing the state trial papers. Yeah, make sure you know the current format for your year. And there's like 18 nilai universal that you must hafal. So make sure you hafal. That's like the basics and you should know. For maths and ed maths, I will combine. And if you don't master your maths, you cannot master your ed maths. Banyakkan latihan. Like, I cannot stress this enough, but calculation isn't something you can just like study last minute. Just dedicate time for like a few questions a day. Like, if you find calculation subjects is like really hard for you, like just do at least satu soalan a day. It's actually going to make a lot of difference. Like, grade will like turun kan masa SPM, tapi macam you cannot just rely on the whole grade turun thing for you to score an A. Yeah, just trust that you can actually do it. For ed maths, my school, my teacher like taught for those yang aiming at least to dapat C, taught them how to get the first marker for every question. Dalam tu like 5 marker kan, you don't have to answer like for all 5 marks. She actually taught them how to get the first mark for every question. So like, you campur semua, like she said, you dah boleh dapat credit dah. The real SPM, kan I dapat A+ for my maths and ed maths. My form 4, I think only my ujian diagnostik and my peperiksaan pertengahan tahun, I dapat rasakan like A+ for my ed maths. And for my trials too, my teacher targeted me to dapat A+, and then I got like A-. So it was quite a bad drop lah masa tu. But honestly, it was worth it because I felt so pressured when I got A- too, and I actually like worked really hard for my ed maths. Like, I pull on a lot of kertas trial to the point yang masa SPM tu kan, I rasa macam all the questions I dah pernah buat, and I actually managed to score an A+ for ed maths. Honestly, the only way to master maths is like focus when your teacher ajar. Like, for my ed maths, I'll try to study before my class lah. And my school teachers as well as my tuition teacher both actually helped me a lot in my maths. But honestly, they are just like the first step for you to understand something tau. The remaining is your hard work. Like, if you want to understand it and you want to ingat how to do it ke tak. So it depends on you whether or not you want to be good at it, and like you have to put in the effort to like do a lot of questions in order for you to like basically memorize the flow on how to answer a certain question. Form 4 chapter 3, system of equations, if I'm not mistaken, is actually one of the easiest chapters to score. Tapi what happened during our SPM ed maths paper was my students, they didn't know that question was from system of equations question, because you are just so used to like the basics question to the point when it is like but you couldn't identify what chapter is that question from. So like, actually for ed maths, when you dapat soalan tu in exam, right, the first step you have to do is you have to identify which chapter is that question from. Find yourself a friend who's like damn smart in like maths and ed maths. Focus lah when teacher ajar. Tak faham, tanya terus. Still tak faham, try the exercise in textbook, because usually kat YouTube got teachers that show how to solve step by step. And do trial papers as much as you can, as fast as you can, especially for ed maths. Time yourself, you work under pressure, and after you do one soalan, don't flick behind to see if your jawapan is betul ke tak. Just continuously do, so that masa a real SPM 3 you're familiar with the pressure. If you are aiming just to like pass ed maths, like dapat credit, pick and choose like which chapters yang you betul-betul boleh study, and make sure you master those chapters during the exam. Yeah, you go to the questions and you know how to solve first. You don't know how to do like the first question, don't gelabah. Look at it for like good 1 minute and you still don't know how to do it. On to the next question, you siapkan the whole paper as fast as you can, and then you come back to the questions that you don't know how to do. That is what I usually do.